So guys, the Canadian Immigration Minister was in a newsroom event in Canada on the 21st of March 2024, and that was a remarkable situation where they introduced 4 major changes. So 3 were immediate changes and 1 was an intended upon change, where they declared certain changes in the LMIA program. They talked about the temporary foreign worker program. They talked about putting restrictions on the temporary residents in Canada, and they hinted upon Canadian experience class draws as well. So basically trying to figure out a pathway for temporary residents to permanent residence pathway. So I'm sure it is ringing some bell in your heads, but there could be a strong hint and a probable cause of a Canadian experience class draw. So guys, today's video is extremely important because we are going to dissect the speech of the immigration minister today. In this video, we will talk about what were the major changes, and then we will also look at the intended upon changes that might come in the time soon. So guys, if you are interested in Canadian immigration for everybody, temporary residents and permanent residents, guys, this video is extremely important. So please be sure to watch the video till the end. My name is Sahil. So guys, welcome back once again. My name is Sahil and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I practice here in Ontario. My office is here. If you have to get in touch with me, my number is on the screen and the details are there in the description box. More than happy to speak with you. Before we proceed any further, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon because we talk a lot about Canadian immigration. And if you are an aspirant of moving to Canada, then this is a channel that you must be subscribed to all the time. So guys, March 21st, 2024, the immigration minister was in a news event and he made certain important announcements during that particular event. So Canada did declare a lot of changes to the temporary foreign worker program, to the LMIAs, and then they talked about how the volume of temporary residents in Canada needs to be brought under control, and finally they intended upon converting domestic workers from temporary residents to permanent residents. So in this video we will be discussing everything. So first, let's talk about how Canada wants to change the LMIAs and how it's changed so far dramatically and how it's going to affect the temporary foreign worker program. So guys, as of May 1st, 2024, the LMIAs, the newer LMIAs that will be issued will have a maximum validity of only 6 months. This is down from the initially during COVID-19 they had 18 months, then came 12 months, and finally it is going back to pre-COVID situations because as per Canada, the COVID-19 repercussions or the effects have all gone away. Canada is now free from COVID-19 pandemic related issues, and the labor market has gotten back up on its feet. In fact, it is 138% of the pre-COVID level. So as per Canada, it does not require any special measures. Therefore, the first thing to go away is the maximum validity of an LMIA. Now, how it affects people or how it affects temporary residents in Canada is because, as you already know, that express entry draws are on an all-time high. They're going above 525, 530s, 540s. So people inside Canada and international students inside Canada usually require an LMIA, a PR supporting LMIA, and they try to claim those 50 points. And those 50 points with the previously during COVID-19 approved LMIAs had a validity of 18 months. So they had 18 months to sit in the pool and wait for a draw. Unfortunately, starting May the 1st, 2024, this validity is going to be only 6 months. So this is going to drastically affect you because if a draw does not come within the 6-month validity, then you'll have to redo the LMIA. That means reposting the ads, all the efforts, fees, everything has to be paid off again. So it is not a good change, obviously, because people earlier could have used that LMIA for a longer validity, but now it's changing. This is the first announcement. The second announcement is that low wage workers in Canada under the temporary foreign worker program. So the employers cannot hire more than 20% of their workforce under the low wage stream. Okay, so they have to be in the high wage stream, and this particular change is not yet applicable to the construction or the healthcare industry. During COVID-19, this cap was increased from 20% to 30%. So that means 30% of the workforce could have been hired under the low wage stream. Okay, but starting after this particular announcement, The 20% cap is now applicable. It is no more 30%. So if you are an employer in Canada, if you're trying to hire an employee, a foreign national, a temporary foreign worker under the TFWP program, then the 20% cap is going to be applicable on you unless you are in construction, healthcare, seasonal, agriculture. Those caps are still unaffected. But yeah, starting May 1st, 2024, it's gone now. The caps are gone. Guys, the third most important change and the essence of this particular speech that the immigration minister said was that he was focusing on how the volume of temporary residents in Canada has gotten out of control. Now guys, it's no surprise because we have seen that during COVID-19 and even in the 2023, they made some not so reasonable efforts in visitor visas and everything, but they started bringing in more people, including international students. So everybody knows that between 2022 and 2023, tons of international students came in, and which led to issues in housing, increasing prices, inflation. This is as per the Canadian government, that the shortage of supply and the more demand led to increasing in the rentals and mortgages and everything has gone up because temporary residents have gotten out of control. The number of temporary residents have gotten out of control inside the country. So the political agenda or the political outlook on the on this whole particular issue is that today close to 2.5 million people are temporary residents in Canada. This is approximately 6.2% of the overall population of Canada. So overall population is just over 40 million. So 2.5 million people who are temporary residents, including students and visitors and say workers and people on IMP, PGWPs, all of them put together. So what IRCC says is that in the coming 3 years, they will reduce the number to 5%. And not only that, they are now going to put up a target on it. So previously, temporary residents had no targets in the immigration levels plan. Now, if you know that every September of a particular year, there is an immigration level plan that is tabled by the immigration minister, the ongoing minister, and the minister talks about how many permanent residents are supposed to be brought into the country. That's how we get our, our quotas of PNPs and everything following. What the minister says now is that in addition to permanent resident quotas, we will have quotas for temporary residents as well. If you go back to the January 22nd, announcement, they had already put up quota for international students, which was close to 360,000 people for this year. They said that now the quotas or the targets have to be set for temporary residents as well. This is the first time in the history of Canadian immigration that such quotas, which means more refusals, more control on visitors, more harsh decisions on student visas or foreign workers, more harsh decisions on inside Canada conversions as well. So it could be anything that may be required to control temporary residents, the number of temporary residents in the country. Now, if you look at the speech once again, he has talked about dissecting the 2.5 million people of temporary residents in the country. He says close to 42% of that 2.5 million is international students. If you look at 9% of that workforce is under the temporary foreign worker program, which is also including the LMIA workers. Then the other 44% is approximately the international mobility program, which is programs like spousal open work permits, PGWPs, which is again 26%, and 10% is the reciprocal youth exchange, and then we have 12% spouses of skilled workers, 26% arrivals which go through CUAT and other humanitarian pathways, and then intra-company transfer is close to 17%. The balance of 5% is asylum seekers, people who try to claim asylums inside Canada, and those people who get a work permit in the interim while they are awaiting their hearings. Of late, as this 22nd January announcement came in, the spike of asylum seekers has gone up. Especially there was a news in some days back where colleges like Conestoga and the other colleges which had gotten out of control in terms of issuing offer letters had a high spike of asylum seekers, and that is the whole reason including the bad actors of international student program, which as you can see that public-private partnership model colleges. So what has caused the stir-up? That's important to understand. So as per the immigration minister, this chronic situation has come up due to bad actors like colleges, DLIs, which have been trying to bring in people, and trying to put an exponential growth of international students or foreign nationals in the country, which has led to people being inside Canada beyond their stay, or people who did not deserve to stay. So because of all of that, the immigration minister says it's hard time, we need to press brakes. He also focused on the 300,000 Ukrainians who have been brought into the country, and he specifically said that Canada is proud because it follows the the rules that we follow and the ideology that Canada follows. So approximately 300,000 Ukrainians are also here in that particular list, where people have to be settled into the economy, and then we will talk about giving them permanent residence pathways and everything else. All in all, Canada wants to now put an immigration levels plan to temporary residents in Canada. Okay, so along with the PR numbers, the quotas, there will be quotas for temporary residents as well, which never existed historically. This entire story ultimately leads us to the fourth and the most important change, which is talking about Canadian experience class draws. Now, if you again focus on the speech very specifically in the last few paragraphs, they say we will have more domestic draws for us and ask provinces and territories to take part in the provincial nomination program to do the same with their allocations. So guys, this is a subtle way of just sliding into the situation, saying so far Canada said that Canadian experience class only draws were done previously in order to give people ease of converting temporary residents to permanent residents, because at that time there were no immigrations happening from overseas offices, because due to COVID-19 all the offices were closed. They also said that they had introduced the TR to PR pathway for a short duration, where people received their permanent residence again because the overseas offices were not working, and they wanted immediate conversions of TR to PR, and so that IRCC could meet their numbers, and also people were undergoing expiring work permits. After that, they introduced PGWP extension policies multiple times, and they gave 18-month extensions to people. Now today, sitting in 2024, if you focus that all of those extensions will almost be coming in the end of 2024. In 2024 and 2025, again, a lot of international students will be coming with the end of their PGWPs, including those ones on public policies, and people who are not able to get any LMIAs or are not studying because they are already through with their study permit and they cannot get any more PGWPs. What will happen to those people? And Canada is already talking about no more extensions and putting targets on the temporary residents. So it is about high time. Canada is at a break situation where either these temporary foreign workers from the previous COVID-19 eras will get a PR, which is highly unlikely because the quotas do not match, or they will have to leave Canada. Now, one thing to understand and to realize is that Canada as a country is huge, and it requires people to pay taxes, to pay pensions, and to run the economy. No matter how Canadians may not like the the increasing rents or whatsoever, let's agree to it. The international students and the foreign workers here do two important things. One, they fill up the labor market requirements. Second, they pay taxes. Now, the Canadian government is shy to openly come in front and emphasize on this particular fact, but we are smart enough to understand that temporary foreign workers are a backbone of this country. Also, these temporary foreign workers are the best fit to become permanent residents because they've already gone through the regime of working hard in the country, and they are they've already deserving candidates who deserve a permanent residence. So the immigration minister understands this, even though he has agreed to it on multiple situations. He does say that these guys are very important, and but he has now, slightly slided this thing in that we want to work on domestic draws. Now, what do you mean by domestic draws? Domestic draws means you have temporary residents in the country who should be converted to permanent residents, right? So TR to PR is one possibility, some program like that, or maybe a Canadian experience class draw. Anything can happen. We will get to know as the time progresses, because I think at the end of 2024 should be the time when those extensions and all of those things should be coming to an end, and IRCC should be in a position to accommodate people who should be getting their PR. Now, if those people get their invitations by end of this year, they will be landing next year. So the next year draws could again go up, and that's a different story to focus on. Overall, this is the dissection and the understanding of the whole speech that has been given by the immigration minister and the other announcement. So guys, I hope you got a lot of information today, and you did get to take away some positive outcomes out of it. I know some of it was negative, some of it was not so pleasant, including the validity of the LMIAs. But today is the time to think that something will come through if you are already inside the country. Guys, if you still have any doubts, if you want to discuss anything with regards to your personal situation, please feel free to schedule a consultation with us. We would be more than happy to speak with you. Once again, we wish you all the best, and we really hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.